I'd just like to identify 3 events that has taken place in this country. Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter, and Standing Rock. Standing Rock put it all together. When you have 300 tribal peoples coming from around the world to one place, something very special, some very special statement. The indigenous radicalism in each of us is aroused. It really has changed us. But in each of the cases, tell me if I'm wrong, the first time I heard about Occupy Wall Street, of course I was right there. The first time I heard about Ferguson, and the first time I heard about Standing Rock, I remember those 3 times. Of course they're living in a park in Wall Street and they're just not going to leave. They're going to start a little small town there. Of course. They're going to start the culture over in the heart of Wall Street. And then Ferguson was also a claim of land. Those young people in Ferguson captured, like Gaza, an open-air concentration camp. What those young people did is they took a stretch of sidewalk in front of the police station and they never let go of it. They just never let go. They possessed it and stood there and they embodied their belief, their presence. They just never stopped being there. But they just wouldn't quit. They were up against a flat-out racist police force. 96% white. The claim of a small space and the not letting go of that small space, and then the building in that claimed place, the building of a new spirit, a building of a new culture. Turning away from the big dog, the exceptional American culture, the most powerful culture, turning away from it and starting over, starting your own culture, and being willing to be ringed by police, like Zuccotti Park, being willing to risk arrest, and that came straight from Michael Brown and Eric Garner. Risk not just arrest, but risk being killed by people who had a record of shooting and killing citizens and not being indicted. How is that different than registering evil and becoming mesmerized and kind of getting lost in it? How is what happened at Zuccotti Park and Black Lives Matter different? Instead of triangulating against the evil and kind of staying close to it, the separation is what we have to do now. And that I think is what real social movements do, and that's what we've forgotten. I think we've forgotten it because we've turned into shoppers. I think consumerism is an overwhelming psychic juggernaut. Changes us completely. We relate to each other through commodified expressions, product expression. Inside Zuccotti Park and inside that stretch of sidewalks, there were no logos. It was independent. The bullshit stops here. They were not letting that in, and yet, in both cases, they made their community in the barrel of the gun. But it's no longer feasible to be a good liberal. We have to be radicals. We have to be radical Americans again. We have to be the radical Americans that we have been in the past. But I think that these 3 events, they are remarkably similar. I'm going to make a community here. I'm going to make a gift economy here. It's going to be a different culture. And in all 3 cases, increasingly, Zuccotti less, but Black Lives Matter more, people from 300 different indigenous places from all over the world, Sri Lanka, Iceland, South Asia, just from everywhere, gathering right there, holding hands at that river, and singing their water songs from their home. It's like a forest before climate change started killing the songbirds. Just whoa, just a cacophony of songs, all lifting into the air. The left has made a terrible mistake walking away from the idea of having a spiritual life. The monoculture of GMO crops and the herbicides that drench the earth, that's the fundamentalism of today. Consumerism is the fundamentalist church right now. We buy the same products, we start adopting the same ways of thinking and talking, and we become vulnerable to fascists taking over. But a spiritual life that is in opposition to consumerism draws all those people were coming up to Zuccotti Park and they were just going batshit. They were just looking. They were coming from consumer life. Make a gift economy work. In the case of each of those three little movements, Zuccotti Park, Ferguson, and Standing Rock, they decided, no, we're going to let this opera that we're in, this murderous thing that is happening, we're going to be a part of it. We're not going to let it continue. We're going to make this story resolve. Let's stay here and let's confront the police and convert them. They have children, they have grandchildren. What's happening to our land, our soil, our water, our life, our biosphere, what is happening to us, to our bodies, not just as wave, not more marches and rallies, marches and rallies, marches and rallies, marches and rallies. The thing about Zuccotti Park and Ferguson and Standing Rock is each of the three seems utterly original. How did they make that up? And that's the kind of thing we have to do now. We have to just slow down and stop and, okay, how does this story get driven to its conclusion? Where do I stand? Each of us will be called in a certain way. Some of us will see it coming, and some of us will make a decision and we'll put ourselves at risk 10 minutes later. It'll come in different ways. But what's happening now can't drift anymore. We can't just let this happen. When we were standing there in Standing Rock and those broken men with their Darth Vader armor and their guns with razor wire around the sacred burial site, and then we're over here with all these earth culture people, and all they've ever said to us as we've slaughtered them, what they've said to us again and again and again, is that the earth is a living being. The earth is alive. The earth is talking to us. The earth is teaching us. Listen to the earth. The earth will tell us what to do. Nature is radical. And I think that's the source of our new radicalism. It's not right thinking anymore. It's not even a new form of government. It's not a new Marxism. It's not a new FDR democracy. It's not figured out that way. I see the earth itself as the source of the new radicalism. We have strength in us that can be rediscovered. I feel in this new age of this billionaire cabinet, we'll have a bad Supreme Court in a minute, it's just going south. If we are spiritual warriors, if we take the example of the indigenous people, if we're able to make a non-patriarchal personal prayer system and make original families together in a gift economy, we can be radical Americans again the way we were. And the earth is calling out to us right now to do this. Hallelujah. Earth-alleluia. Earth-alleluia.